All right. Hey, hi. This is Tim Brown, and I think I completely botched this entire assignment. And probably because I've just been overwhelmed with what's been going on in my work life and in private life, and with this coronavirus thing going on, and right up the road in Quantico, a Marine getting testing positive. So I work in an environment that has a huge contact center via virtual counseling. Now, one of the things that I've always done is I've always done an introduction. So I've got less than 15 minutes to go over this presentation using Screencast-O-Matic, and we're going through Screencast-O-Matic. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint, and my main focus is to try to help you learn how to be the educational leader you were meant to be. And we're going to do that through the ISTE standards for educators and coaches. We're going to point out that educators are learners, leaders, citizens, collaborators, designers, facilitators, and analysts. Now, I've been out of the classroom for about 13 years, so I really am kind of out of touch with the way that the public education system is working, but I've tried to stay on board and on track with what's happening in our public education section and how kids are affected by it. All the way up from kindergarten to 12th grade and beyond. Now, I also want to touch on coaches, and that coaches are also, as we see here, change agents, connected learners, collaborators, just like teachers, or just like educators, learning designers, professional learning facilitators, data-driven decision makers, digital citizen advocate. Now, so how do we do education equity? And more important, how do we address this educational dilemma of how do we facilitate growth? And what are the ways that we encourage educators to include it in their professional development plans? What are the increases and accesses of opportunities for educators? And how do the materials in the required studies that we had about equity develop the rationale for my choice of doing the research that I am about whether or not technology is good or bad for inclusion in the classroom and the public education system as a whole. Now, yes, we've got some negative stuff out there that is counterintuitive for inclusiveness of technology in the classroom, and that it's damaged some of the social skills, the critical thinking skills, sleep deprivation, things of that nature. So there is some vested research out there to say that technology may not always be the right answer. But bottom line is, how do we become equitable about this? Well, first off, we have to figure out what is equity. Now, hopefully, I'm thinking that this will all come out. But equity in education is a goal everyone in education should get behind. We want to make sure that there's equal access and equal need and equal attention given, not just to the students, but also to the educators. And, what the educator doesn't want to see all students have an equal opportunity for success. I mean, which teacher doesn't? Because everybody has a right to learn, to include educators. And how do the districts do that? I mean, we know that there's budgetary constraints. We know that it costs for technology. So how do we provide that training? Well, some of the training is going to be self-based. It's going to require that you take the initiative to find out the information on life. Now, Other things, if you bring on a system in the district that you're working in, it's going to be the district's responsibility to teach that system to the educators, to the teachers, to the facilitators, to the coaches, to everybody that is a stakeholder in public education. But most importantly, we have to work together. Educators must support, encourage one another, suggest new things. I mean, John brought it up in his PowerPoint. All of these lovely resources that are out there on the internet, and did a wonderful job bringing multimedia into his PowerPoint presentation. And of course, Peyton is a trainer, and she does an absolutely wonderful job explaining how her entire training program works. So achieving true equity will require looking at all of these aspects and more from both a larger systems perspective and an individual student perspective. Now, what do I do? All right, and how is this equity opportunity going to come into play? Now, first off, let's talk about equity of opportunity. Out of the United States Department of Education, America is not yet the country it strives to be, a place where all who are willing to work hard and get ahead join a thriving middle class and leading fulfilling lives. So we haven't got there yet. So we have a challenge to ensure that educational equality or equity is formidable, because we're losing our grip. We're losing our edge. And the Obama administration is committed, or was committed. They're no longer the Obama administration, but they were committed to advancing equity in education to make sure everybody had an opportunity to learn and excel and to be what they were dreaming to be. And that's one of the things that I do. I want to help people get from where they're at to where they want to be. Now, how do I do that? I do that through the Navy College program. I am one of the counselors. I'm one of the counselors that helps all of our Navy sailors get started on their education process. And I help them to develop professionally as well as academically. This is what I do on a day-to-day basis. I typically handle about 20 counselings a day at minimum. And some of those are quite extensive. We also have other things that we have to learn. We have to learn this entire program. Plus, we have to learn how to Skype counsel. Virtual counseling is how we do our business. We also have to know the education and career paths. There is a ton that a Navy College counselor has to do. We help them to research, select a school, make a plan. We secure their tuition and funding, and we help them execute an education plan. Plus, we help them to develop professionally. So if they want to move from being a sailor to being a commissioned officer, we help them with that process too. We have a lot on our plate. Plus, we're also doing our own internal development. And that in and of itself is a challenge, because we have to go out and look for innovative ways in which to collaborate, cooperate, and to promote. We do a lot of our training via teleconferencing, and that teleconferencing that we go through is on a global scale, not just a local scale, not just a small district, but a global scale. So our reach is far and it's wide. Now, as far as development is concerned, we send most of our counselors to a professional development institute, which is put on by the Department of Defense's Institutional Compliance Program. This typically is held in June. And these are some of the slides that I have that talks about our professional development. It's put on by Dante's, which is the Department of Defense's non-traditional. So we deal with recruiting marketing, and And we have all of these different aspects that we deal with the voluntary education program. So we're educators, we're counselors, we're facilitators, and we're also participants. The other thing that we do is we do what here in the area where I'm at, Virginia, we do the Virginia Advisory Council on Military Education. So this is all about our military community. It's not just the active duty military, but also our military families. So we hold this symposium in Town Center in Virginia Beach. The cost this year is $200 per person. It is an outreach program and a symposium and networking, and there are hundreds of people that come in. We have scholarships. As you can see here, one of the scholarships that they promote is a $10,000 scholarship every year. And the program involves active duty drilling reservists, National Guard members, spouses or active duty members, drilling reservists, National Guard or military retiree, child of active duty members, drilling reservists, etc. It's anybody and everybody who has ever had anything to do with the military is in there. And so National University sponsors this, along with Nova, St. Leo University. There is a host of colleges and universities. So reaching out and making sure there is equality and equity in the professional arena, as far as a counselor is concerned, is paramount. And it's very paramount because we're creating teachers. We're creating educators. And so we need to know where these things are at. We need to know where the resources are at. And so, yes, we have to do a lot of research. We have to do a lot of digging to find out where things are at. And so with that in mind, we try to overcome this educational dilemma. We try to facilitate the growth, encouragement. We kind of are half coaches, half educators. So under the ISTE, because we deal with a lot of technology, we try to ensure that we fulfill all of the ISTE standards, because we're not just necessarily in the public education system, but we are in the public education system. We're in the public's eye. So there is that. And after all of this, I have a few of my references that I pulled up from the United States Department of Office of Civil Rights, the Dear Colleague letter that we went over about providing equity, how important it is for everyone to have equitable treatment, no matter where they're at in the education system, and that it is our right and our duty as educators to be well educated. And we're going to have to be creative to find the resources that we need in order to pay for our education and in order to learn about the technology that we're trying to institute in the classroom and in the world we live in. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take some sacrifice. It's going to take some time in order to do that. So we have to work together. We have to come together as a team, because together everyone achieves more, and that's how it is. So I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time to listen to my little presentation. I'm so sorry I didn't get it in when it should have been at the quality level that it is right now, and hopefully I will not let you down in the future. Take care. Have a great evening. Again, this is Tim Brown in Virginia Beach, and you can get to the top too. Bye now.